You know, it's fascinating how stupid so many of you are. Okay, you know what? I'll be nice. I'll be nice. Not stupid. Not stupid. You're clueless. It's fascinating how clueless so many of you are. Well, you're mainly clueless on how stupid you are, but I digress. And it's not just that you're clueless. It's you're full of shit. It's fascinating how so many of you are full of shit and you are literally clueless on how full of shit you are. Now, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Well, a clip from the upcoming James Gunn Superman movie dropped recently and it's been making the rounds. It's the clip where Superman crashes into Lex's office because he believes, Lex kidnapped Crypto, and Superman is, yelling and throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum, asking, Lex, where's the dog? Where's the dog? Now, I've been checking out the discourse and the comments and the discussion in regards to the, shall we say, the controversy and your reactions and responses to a particular issue some of you have in regards to this clip. And it has to do with those of you who who are going into this Superman movie, hating on this Superman movie, and calling out and hating on this clip. And what's your big issue? What's your controversy? Well, you're calling out that Superman is all emotional and he's yelling and he's screaming and he's raging and he's throwing a temper tantrum. And that's not Superman. That's not the Superman. That's not how Superman is. And there's only one little problem with your issue with this clip and Superman, yelling and screaming and throwing a temper tantrum. You see, that problem is that Superman was bluffing, you morons. It was an act. It was an act. Now, if you weren't totally clueless, you would have understood that. If you actually knew Superman's character half as much as you pretend you know Superman's character, you would have realized and caught that it was a bluff. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Those of you hating on this upcoming Superman movie and hating on this clip are not the only clueless bullshit artists out there. Because those of you who are going into this upcoming Superman movie, loving this Superman movie and loving this clip and defending this clip, guess what? You're just as clueless and full of shit in your claim that you know Superman as much as you do. Just as much as the haters. You want to know how I know this? Because those of you who are loving this upcoming Superman movie and defending this clip, none of you also didn't realize that Superman was bluffing. You were clueless in realizing that Superman was bluffing. You don't know Superman half as much as you pretend you do, because if you did, you would have realized that Superman was bluffing. And you want to know how I know you didn't know Superman was bluffing? Because you didn't use that to shut down the haters. What was your defense of Superman yelling and screaming and being all emotional and having a temper tantrum? He's allowed to be. You were defending that he was yelling and screaming and being emotional. You didn't realize that he was bluffing any more than those hating on this clip. Now, how do I know he was bluffing? Well, if you weren't clueless, you would actually realize it's established in the clip. You want to know how? Lex was not afraid of Superman the entire time Superman was having his temper tantrum. Apparently, you guys didn't realize that. Lex had just kidnapped Crypto. Lex just kidnapped Superman's dog. Lex has now pissed off Superman and is not afraid of having pissed off Superman. The entire time Superman is in his office, Lex is not afraid of having pissed off Superman. Why? Because Superman bursts into... Here's what happens. Superman bursts through the door into the office, and he's all posing and posturing. He's going, "Where's the dog?" He's trying to intimidate Lex. But Lex is like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? What, would you like some coffee?" Whatever, right? That doesn't work. That's not intimidating Lex. So Superman escalates it, ups it, starts yelling louder, and then takes the desk and tosses it. What's Lex's reaction? Just grabs the coffee and, "I don't know what you're talking about. What's the problem?" Superman sees that that doesn't work. So what does Superman do? He escalates it even further. And he yells as loud as he can. And he's trying to be as threatening and as intimidating as possible. What's Lex Luthor's reaction? He just stands up, eyeballs Superman, and goes, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about." Now, in comparison, let's say Homelander had a dog that he loved, and Lex Luthor decided to kidnap Homelander's dog. Let's say Lex decided to piss off Homelander. If Homelander burst into his office and said, "Where's the dog?" and started threatening Lex, do you think Lex would be calm and relaxed and unconcerned? No. Lex would be shitting his pants. Do you know why Lex would be shitting his pants? Because he knows Homelander will rip him apart. Lex would know that Homelander has no problem using violence to get the answers he requires. Superman does not use violence to get the answers he wants. No matter how much Superman would like to know where Crypto is, Superman, and if you actually knew Superman half as much as you pretend you did, or you do, you would understand that Superman will not use violence to get answers from people. Apparently, only 3 people in the world knew that Superman was bluffing. Lex, Superman, and me. I don't mean to come. I know I'm an egotistical son of a bitch, but what do you want from me? Okay, maybe James Gunn might have figured it out, but whatever. I don't want to deal with that guy. Now, after that last tirade, that screaming match, what happens? The anger's gone. Superman instantly becomes, distraught, morose, and defeated. Because he is literally defeated. Lex Luthor literally defeated him. How? Because Superman tried to bluff and intimidate Lex, and Lex wasn't buying it. And Superman realized no matter how much he yelled, no matter how much he threw a temper tantrum, it wasn't going to get Lex to tell Superman where the dog was. Now, the reason Superman went from total rage to, instantly being distraught and defeated in seconds was because all of that bluster, all of that yelling, all of that posturing was a facade. It was an act. It was a bluff. And Lex called him on it. He kept calling him on it until Superman had nothing left. And then what did Superman do? He appealed to Lex Luthor's humanity. The guy who kidnapped his dog, Superman is appealing to that person's humanity. Now, if either of you, those of you hating on this upcoming movie, those of you hating on this clip, and bullshitting claiming that you know Superman half as much as you pretend you did, you would have gone, oh, wow, look at Superman appealing to Lex's humanity. That's the Superman that you are all pretending you know that you know exists. But here's the thing. None of you acknowledged it. Now, there's one of two reasons you didn't acknowledge it. One, you don't know Superman a tenth of how much you bullshit that you pretend you know. Because if you knew Superman even a tenth of how much you pretend that you know Superman, you would have realized that he was being Superman. He was going, I've been yelling at him, I've been intimidating him, it didn't work. So what was his plan B? Appealing to his humanity. You didn't catch it. You want to know what the second reason? The second reason you didn't acknowledge it is that you did. You did know it. You did notice it. You did understand that. But because you're all about hating on this upcoming Superman movie, and you're all about hating on this trailer, you couldn't give James Gunn credit for actually portraying Superman the way you say that you pretend you know Superman. So by not acknowledging that James Gunn with this clip was portraying Superman the way you all pretend you know, you literally invalidated your claim that you know Superman half as much as you pretend you do. Now, here's the beauty of this. The same goes for all of you who are loving this upcoming Superman movie and defending this clip. Because you want to know what? You want to know, not only did none of you, or as far as I could see, did any of you call out that Superman was bluffing, you didn't call out how Superman was appealing to Lex Luthor's humanity and use that to shut down the haters. Because you know why? Those of you loving this upcoming Superman movie and loving this clip and defending this clip are just as clueless and are full of shit in your claim that you know Superman half as much as you do as the haters are. Oh, and there was this other little controversy. It wasn't as big as issue as the other one, but later on at the end of the clip, you have Lex Luthor, sipping into his cup and mumbling, "Ugly little dog with a cape." And Superman goes, "What did you say? What is that? What is the haters' problem and issue with that? Oh, I thought Superman had super hearing. How could he have not heard that?" And for those of you who are loving this upcoming Superman movie and loving this clip and defending this clip, what was your defense of Superman's of that little scene? You went, "Oh no, Superman heard him. He just wanted him to say it again." Here's the thing. That's not the problem. Superman not hearing it is not the problem with that statement. The problem with Lex Luthor saying, "Ugly little dog with the cape," is that Lex just incriminated himself to the person whose dog he just stole. You morons. The entire clip, Lex is denying knowing anything about the dog, knowing anything about what Superman is talking about. What dog? I don't have a dog. I don't know what dog you're talking about. And then says something so monumentally stupid, which establishes that Lex does know what he's talking about. He literally invalidated all of the denials he just had. And all of you, both those of you hating on this Superman movie and those of you loving on this Superman movie, you are all so clueless and you don't even know Lex Luthor. Forget just Superman. You don't even know Lex Luthor a tenth of how much you pretend you know. Because when for those of you hating on this clip, okay? And not only that, those of you loving on this upcoming Superman movie and loving on this clip, you should have called out that there's no way Lex would have been stupid enough. He's an evil genius. Remember, morons? So why would Lex incriminate himself and literally invalidate everything he was doing for the last, however long it was, half a minute. But did any of you realize that Lex literally incriminated himself? No. What was your big issue? Oh, Superman should have been able to hear that. Your problem should have been that Lex should have never said that in the first place. That would have been a way to call out James Gunn and say he has no idea what the Lex Luthor character is. Because for those of you hating on this movie, you should have been calling out Lex Luthor for going, that's not how Lex Luthor is. I actually have to explain to those of you hating on this movie on what to actually hate, because you're too stupid and clueless to figure it out on your own. Anyway, just thought I'd explain to you in regards to this clip for the upcoming Superman movie how clueless you are and how full of shit you are in your claim that you know Superman, or even Lex, not even a tenth of how much you pretend you know these characters. And somebody has to tell you, because ain't nobody else gonna do it. Because here's the problem. You're all clueless. You're all full of shit. And you all don't know these characters anywhere as close to how much you pretend you know them. So since nobody else is going to call you out on it, I have to, because I'm here for you. I do this for you. It's just the kind of guy I am. Because somebody needs to explain to you morons how clueless you are and how full of shit you are when you claim that you know any of these characters anywhere as much as you pretend you did. Because I'll tell you what, I'll end this clip being nice. Here's the problem. All of you, okay, have a headcanon on how Superman is. And that's fine. You can easily have whatever headcanon version of Superman you want. And if you want Superman to be who's emotional and yells because he was raised by kids, that's fine. If you want to have the headcanon where Zack Snyder's version of Superman is a good Superman, you can have that headcanon. But admit that it's your headcanon. Don't confuse or conflate your headcanon on what you think Superman is to how Superman actually is. Okay? That's all I'm asking. Don't say this is how Superman is. Admit the truth. This is what your headcanon of Superman is. And guess what? You're not full of shit anymore, because you're being truthful in what you're saying. You have a certain headcanon of how Superman is, and you're going, this Superman in this clip or this Superman in this movie is not matching the headcanon of the Superman that you have in your head. Because take a look at the Snyder fanboys, okay? They love Zack Snyder's Superman. Why? Because they've established a headcanon that Zack Snyder's version of Superman is the Superman they want. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if Zack Snyder's Superman is close to the actual real Superman. All Zack Snyder fanboys are going in their headcanon, that's Superman. And it's the same thing with those of you who are anticipating and loving on this upcoming James Gunn Superman. It doesn't matter if James Gunn's Superman is actually Superman as he's supposed to be. You're going to establish your headcanon version of Superman as the James Gunn Superman, which is why no matter how much stupid is being called out in that movie in regards to Superman, you're not going to care. The same way you can call out how stupid Zack Snyder's Superman is to Snyder fanboys, and guess what? They won't care. Anyway, Rant over, got that out of my system. I'm good. But hey, don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. I'm a nothing channel, so no one's going to see this video. So no one's going to know how clueless you all are. And no one's going to know how full of shit you all are in regards to you don't know comic book characters a tenth of how much you pretend you do. Your secret's safe, guys. Don't worry about it. Anyway, just thought I'd give you a little happy thought if you come across this video. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm good. I'm done. I'm out of here. See ya.